Queens. Welcome back to another episode of the Wedding Hive podcast. It is so exciting to be here today. We have had an amazing little break as both Grace and I have been traveling and having some good vacation time with our family. So before we hop into that, today, this episode is going to be all about vendor booking, the process. This was a questionnaire that went out on Instagram end of May, I want to say, and we are just now getting around to it, but we're going to give you all of the information you need to be successful in your booking process. But before that, Grace, how has life been?
Life's been good. Yeah, we took about 3 weeks off, which was nice because everyone was doing vacations, which I think is well-deserved. So this episode might be a little rough because we're getting back into it. So please be with us. And I told myself today, this is maybe just a me thing, I'm going to get better with not saying and
Okay.
I'm going to work on that.
Okay.
I need to get a little, I just did it. I need to get a horn every time I do it because I'm going to work on that.
Well, we don't want our listeners to crash when they listen to us in the car.
Okay, you're right. We won't do that.
Maybe a silent horn.
I know. I'll do a silent.
Or a zapper. If I hear it, I'll zap you.
Yeah. You just see me tweaking the whole time. Everyone said, "Oh, is she okay over there?" I said no. But yeah, life's been good. Just been relaxing, spending time with my husband, our dog. We went to the lake this past weekend and took our puppy for the first time. So that was a good time. It was definitely a lot because taking a dog, just going there yourself is already a whole thing, but then bringing a dog. So it was fun, but we had him wear little booties. So that was cute. And we took him paddle boarding, or we were in a kayak, excuse me. So that was fun. And yeah, I'm ready for the 4th of July. I got my nails already. And
cute.
Gonna go to a cabana out in Scottsdale for a girlfriend's birthday and just hang out for the day and have fun. So how have you been? I know you went on a long road trip and you had some issues in the beginning.
Yes, I am constantly reminded. I know I posted on Instagram, I think it was the first day of my vacation. Hey, life happens sometimes and it happens around wedding planning too. So don't be discouraged. We hit a lot of road bumps, not literally, figuratively on our trip, but we had an amazing trip. We drove 2,200 miles in 6 days. I think we were in a total of 5 states. We saw some really cool things. We were on a boat and we had so much fun. We were with my dad's side of the family and had an absolute blast. We stayed in cabins on the lake, and girl, I am not made for that camping life.
We've discussed this. No camping for me ever.
No, I thought I was for it. I was a camper growing up. I didn't mind it as a kid. I want to be one with the nature,
but I like my hotel rooms. I love a shower. It's not for me.
These did have running water and toilets and
okay, so maybe it
was one of those boxes in the wall that turns on air conditioner. It's not like an actual air conditioner.
Okay. So in a hotel almost, right?
I don't even know what that thing is called, but it was a box and I kept
yes, like in hotel rooms?
Yes.
When you're please.
Yes.
And you're I don't have to pay for this shit, so I'm turning it all the way down.
I'm it's going to be 73. 67 here all night long.
So it's going to be freezing.
So, but the kids had a blast. Everybody got sunburnt. I am peeling like a little lizard, so are my kids. So it's nice to be home. My husband is so excited to do some camping this summer. And I'm just I think I've done it and I don't want to do it again.
Yeah,
so,
I think the compromise would be you go have fun and I'll stay at home.
Yeah. I'm we have to get a really nice RV.
Yes, that's what I told John. I said, I'll go camping again, but if we rent an RV, because that's just what I think I need. I think for my sanity and to even enjoy the experience, I need that.
Or here's my other thing. If I'm going camping and we have no cell phones and we have no photos and there's no documentation of it, I think I could cave woman it and just it is what it is.
Yeah.
No mirrors. But the fact that we're taking photos and we're doing this and we're doing that. And I'm oh my gosh, don't post that on social media.
I look like a rat.
I look like I just walked out of the sewer.
Whenever I look at the pictures of the 2 times I stuck up camping for my husband, I said, what the actual F? Because it's just you're dirty, you're sweaty, or we went during winter. And I remember I woke up one day and I was so bundled up because it was freezing that my hair was just unbrushable. It was so bad.
Correct.
If you like camping, I just don't get it. I don't know how people.
I love nature. We love hiking. I love being one with the earth, but
I'll be down with the earth for about an hour and then that's about it.
I love hugging trees, but like, I don't know. I definitely was made for the 21st century.
Oh, for sure.
So
I'm glad you guys had fun though, even though there were some bumps in the road.
Yep. 4th of July. We don't have, I don't know what we're doing. My husband's birthday is the day before 4th of July.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So getting ready to celebrate him. He's so stupid spoiled. We have been in Vegas. We've been in Utah. We've been in Hawaii for his birthday this year. He's like, so what's the plan? And I'm like,
that road trip was your birthday present.
Mijo, you are going to be home for your birthday this year.
And your birthday soon too, right?
Yeah, next month in August.
See, that's like me and John's birthday. We're 2 weeks apart and it's terrible. It's literally on the 16th and he's the 30th in November and it's always money crunch, or we try to do like one big trip so that way we just can celebrate both of our birthdays. Yeah. But oh my gosh.
I think it's hard because his birthday is like 3 weeks after Father's Day. And so I'm always juggling like the Father's Day birthday thing.
I didn't think about that.
But at least he's not next to Christmas, which we do have a daily buzz coming out. We had a question asked about planning your wedding around holidays. So that will be in a daily buzz for everybody to listen to, because I don't know your thoughts on it, but
we'll dive into that.
We will dive into that. But you want to start us with a yes or no?
Yes. So obviously we're talking all things vendors today. Obviously there's so many vendors you can book for your wedding. So I just thought it'd be fun to do one of those. Yes or no for a live painter.
Ooh.
You know how they do the... Yeah.
I've only worked with one live painter multiple times. She is absolutely phenomenal. And I would say yes, only if it makes sense with your timeline.
Okay.
Because when I've worked with
how does that even work with a live painter?
That's the thing. People are under the perception that the live painter like takes a mental picture and then paints it, and it's usually like the ceremony or it's a sunset photo. They need to take that early enough in the day because they watch it from their phone and they live paint it throughout the reception, like throughout cocktail hour and reception. So they spend hours working on it from a photo they took on their phone.
Got it.
So when you do things like without a first look, then they can sometimes grab areas to start working on, like the scenic surroundings.
Yeah, like the behind areas of it.
Yes. But if you want a picture of dancing at 9 p.m. and you want her to paint that, she needs to start hours in advance. So yes to a live painter, as long as it makes sense with the timeline.
Yes. Okay. See, I know, fun fact, I didn't know that about the live painters. I've seen them and I've seen people's work and I think it's so cool and something fun to add and basically, a momentum to keep from the wedding, but I don't, I'm down for them. I didn't have one, but I think they're really unique. And like you said, if it's in the timeline, that makes sense. And I think if it's in your budget, then I say yes.
Love it.
I'm here for it.
Cool. So talking about vendor booking, that process, we're starting with the same thing we preach almost every episode, I feel like. Before you start picking your vendors, you have to set your budget and guest list.
Yes.
There is no point in pulling out your vendors from the sky if we don't have a budget set. So make sure you start working on that budget, that guest list. You want to allot your budget in categories. The allotments are those percentages. What do you need to put most of your money towards? How are you paying for it? Who is paying for what? All of those conversations, and that guest count is a rough idea because you need to know how much of what you're going to need. It even comes down to the tables. You're thinking, oh, table decor, not a big deal. Well, it is a big deal because your guest count is going to determine how many tables you need. Why are you going to buy stuff for 25 tables when you might only need 12 tables because of your guest count? So set your budget and that guest list to start really looking at those vendors.
Yeah. And then, of course, after you're picking your budget and all that good stuff, we kind of want to go into priority checklist of booking timelines. So on priority, when you are starting your wedding planning process, venues first. You want to knock out catering, photography, if you're wanting videography, if you're wanting to do a planner, DJ, florals, and attire, I would say are the top priority checklist for things to get done right away. And then when it comes to kind of a second priority, beauty, so hair and makeup that you're booking for day of, if you guys are doing cake. And of course, once you pick your venue and date, you have to do your stationery. So RSVPs, save the dates. If you're doing any type of transportation, and your officiant.
Yes.
So we want to have that locked too, because they're going to be the ones marrying you.
I love that. I have a question for you. But before that, I have found more so than not, I've had couples, we've locked in all of their important vendors. Everything is handled what it needs to be. And within the last maybe 6 weeks prior to wedding, they say, hey, I've had a little money left over, or a grandparent has donated money. We're going to add this, or, we're going to do late night bites. We want to bring in a taco truck or whatever it might be. And so that's exciting because you have leftover money.
Extra money.
We love leftover money.
We love that we can spend extra money.
And we will go into the timeline of booking in a second, but those other extra last minute pieces, you can usually pull it. When did you book your marquise letters? Because you had marquise letters at your wedding.
I did. I want to say I booked them maybe like 6 months before the wedding. So... and
was that a priority to you?
Not really. It was really, I started planning and then I saw a picture and I said, oh my gosh, I have to have those. So it was kind of in the process of nothing. When I first started planning my wedding, I never thought, oh, I want marquise letters. But then when I saw it and on the dance floor and like pictures at night, I said, that would be something that would be fun to add that was in our budget. So remember, just because you like it and it doesn't mean you can always should get it or have it, be sure it allocates with your budget and if it works for you. But I do remember we booked our photo booth like super early for some reason. I don't know why. And I remember I forgot that we booked our photo booth because I did it so in advance. It was like the email saying, hey, your last payment's due. And, we had all of our money set aside. And I said, oh my God, I totally forgot we even book the photo booth. So I guess maybe don't book stuff too far in advance. But I mean, I guess better safe than sorry that I already had it booked. I would hate to get close to my wedding and then think, oh shoot, I didn't book a photo booth, which I really did want. So that was what I did.
That is why it's important to have everything organized on a spreadsheet.
Which you're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that too. I did not do that. I just balled it.
So that's the difference in Kelsey and Grace.
Yes.
Kelsey's very type A.
Oh yeah.
Everything is documented and in spreadsheets.
I know. I think I'm a mixture.
Grace is like, woo.
I'm like, what?
Let's just get the party started.
I was like, as long as there's a bar, like who cares?
Yeah.
Like, anything can be there. I don't mind.
Yes. That's why we're a dynamic duo.
Exactly.
What's your favorite vendor that you've seen recently? You've been dabbling and hanging out at weddings. So
I actually saw one night an elote cart. Yes. Which I love. I love elote. I love a good late night snack. So I actually think if you can incorporate that, it's I would do it. I didn't do it, but I didn't have the money for that. So I just, didn't do one of those things. But if you do, I think you should because I mean, once you've been, because I mean, you eat, of course, but then depending if you eat dinner early, then, you already at the cocktail hour food and there's no more food coming for the rest of the night. It's just drinking and dancing. So if you can have a taco truck, like you said, I know we've seen someone do McDonald's. I honestly, actually, if this was possible, I would 1,000% have done this. In-N-Out Burger is my favorite fast food restaurant. I don't care what anyone says. You can shit on it all day. I do not care. It's my favorite.
I'm not shitting on In-N-Out Burger.
So then what?
I've had it at weddings.
That's
as a late night snack. And unless it comes in the truck, by the time it gets to your venue, unless your venue is right next door to In-N-Out Burger, the fries are cold and the burgers are soggy.
No, and that's what I wanted. You
wanted soggy burgers and cold
I'm not
fries?
done. I'm not done.
Okay.
I wanted the truck, but they only do it in California right now. So that's the reason.
So if In-N-Out can get their life together.
Yeah, In-N-Out. Can we please, I will literally redo my whole wedding just to have this In-N-Out Burger truck.
I will.
For a late night snack. I'll make Kelsey.
I won't be participating in round 2 of her wedding.
I'll make Kelsey.
If I won't redo my wedding.
I know.
You still get to redo your wedding.
Yeah.
No, I just went to a launch party for a mobile charcuterie. cart.
Love a charcuterie board.
And they're like they're individualized charcuterie.
Like in the cups?
Yes.
Those are so cute.
They are so cute. They are so good. And so like you go, like the cart is adorable. And then you go through and they like build your charcuterie thing. And like, I don't eat prosciutto. Is that what it's called?
My favorite. Yeah, prosciutto.
So I was able to say like, nope, I don't want that, but I want like all of these yummy things. And it was like delicious. So I think that is going to be an upcoming trend that we see, like especially at cocktail hours.
I like
because
that.
it was so good. But we can hop to the next one.
Yes, for third, just like we talked about, last priority, any late night snacks. We love a beer burrow or Marquise letters. You can really kind of book those. Not last minute, but I would say those are the last thing priority-wise that you can book.
Correct. So. I agree. So going into that booking timeline, you want to have everything booked sooner than later. So the suggestion is 4 to 18 months prior to wedding. Obviously, we've talked about you want your venue, your date locked in. From there, start working through it. The last 3 to 4 months is finalizing your details. One thing that I want to note, and I think Grace is actually going to talk about this in her next point, but I have noticed in a lot of the contracts that I've been reviewing, you can only make so many changes to it before you get charged. I don't know if you experienced this, but when you are indecisive in something that you want, make sure that you're confirming what that vision board is. And I hope I'm making sense when I say this. Where I'm finding it is we are booking things so far in advance, we're locking it in, and then, at the 18-month mark, and then a year before the wedding or 6 months before the wedding, the vision is completely changed. And so we're going to the florist or the design team and saying, hey, we actually want da-da-da-da-da. And the deal was you can only make so many changes because that's what the contract had in it. And so we are getting charged for those changes. So not to freak people out. I know it's in there, but once you have your vision, stick to your vision, be confident in that. If you are going to make changes to that vision, make sure that it is going to work with your budget because those changes sometimes do cost money. So you want to book things sooner than later. Like I said, it also depends on your market, how many vendors are available here in the Metro Phoenix area. We have a plethora of vendors before we would run out. If you're in a more rural area, you might only have the option with 2 local florists. So get those things booked sooner than later. That way that, like I said, those last 3 to 4 months, you can enjoy finalizing details, doing hair and makeup trials, your final fittings, those bachelorette parties, bridal showers, those things. So
yeah, I totally agree. So obviously with vendor booking, and as we talked about, this is more of Kelsey's area, not me. But if you can, I
wanted to challenge you today. That's why I'm making you talk through this point. We're growing you, Grace.
I really should have definitely if you can create a spreadsheet of your vendors as you're booking them. Have a spreadsheet. Of course, the main thing, make sure you have their name, their contact information, what exact services they're providing, like how many hours and things like that. Make sure you know, of course, everything that's included in this vendor booking. Are they dropping it off and picking it up? Are you going to have to take it back? I mean, I know I rented glassware for our signature drinks. I had to go pick it up and drop it off myself, but there's some vendors that can do that. So something to also think about. Of course, how much is the cost of the vendor? And also a lot of vendors, of course, do payment schedules or payment plans, which is nice because we, of course, know how expensive weddings can get. And sometimes it's nice to have those vendors where, it's just like, hey, deposit and the rest is due, a week before the wedding. And knowing, of course, the deposits, the amounts that are due and those due dates, because just like me, I booked something very far in advance and the week before getting an email, hey, the payment's due tomorrow or, next week or what have you. So I definitely wish I would have done a spreadsheet just to be more organized because the last thing you want to do is be overwhelmed or stressed to get that email saying, oh, like you have to pay $1,500, tomorrow or next week. You don't want that. So keeping and knowing how much your amounts are and the due dates. And then just like you said, contract status, essentially, what are their cancellation policies, or if you, like you said, you book something and then months go by and now you want to change it, but that's not part of your contract. So before booking, reading through, I know they're not fun. No one wants to read through the 5-page contract with.
Please do it.
Just do it.
Yes.
It sucks. Take the 10 minutes, read it, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, because you don't want to add more stress onto yourself. Or if rescheduling too, if you, book your wedding date and then something happens, so then you have to reschedule. So you're rescheduling your vendors. Do they have a fee for that? Is it free if you end up moving your date? And then, of course, the terms of your contract. And,
Can I say something really quick?
Of course.
You also want to check in those contracts with that date change, if it is out of your control, are they willing to work with you?
Yes.
I've had
COVID
clients
stuff too.
who their venue shut down or it lit on fire.
Ooh,
and their vendors were willing to work with them and not charge them for the location change and the date change. So you want to ask those questions in those contracts, and if that can be written into the contract, if there's flexibility, because those are things out of your control, So
Mother
sorry
Nature.
not to interrupt
No,
you.
You're good. Interrupt me all
I
you
just
want.
remembered a few of the horror stories that
I bet.
we've had.
Oh, you said, ooh. And then, of course, if you guys have meeting, dates, especially for like venues, doing like 6-month check-ins, 4-week check-ins, follow-ups, if you're doing site visits to your venue, fun stuff like tastings, making sure you have those scheduled. If you're doing, floral trials and having all those scheduled out. And for the girls, the makeup and wedding hair trials too, and figuring out how much, because those are always extra costs.
Yep.
So make sure you're reading your
And
hair
there
and
we
makeup
are
trial
talking about budget again.
costs,
We will
because
do-
it adds up.
So as we started your piece of this, we will make a note, and hopefully our producer will make a note as I'm saying this out loud, on different ways to organize and have spreadsheets to have all of that done. We'll do a daily buzz on it. I don't think it needs a full episode, but we can do an organizing your wedding. If you'll make a note,
101,
producer.
organizing your wedding 101.
Your wedding 101 and have everything in, and we'll dive into that and the best way to keep all of your stuff put together so you don't end up like Grace and forget you booked a DJ.
I know.
So,
I just forget stuff.
Alrighty, so how to select your vendor. Here's some tips. First off, ask for referrals. As soon as you say the word "I'm getting married" or "we're engaged," your algorithm on all social media and the internet is going to explode, and you're going to get bombarded
Literally
with ads. So feel free, get on The Knot, get on Zola, whatever, Wedding Wire, Here Comes the Bride, or Here Comes the Guide, whichever one it is, sorry. Start doing your research, but also you're going to want to ask for some referrals, read reviews, get online. Those reviews are great to get into. You want to interview your vendors. Man, I think I did a daily buzz on this. I feel like I'm having a deja vu.
Interviewing your vendors?
Yeah.
I think we did.
We did do a daily buzz on this.
Touch about that,
but it's good to know.
The importance, because I think really too, I don't know about you, I'm super big on like reviews and spending time, especially, not even weddings, like anything, Airbnbs, things like that. Reviews do really, show the true colors of the vendors, and if they actually are gonna, get it done and get it done good. So make sure you do your research.
If you want to go deeper into reading reviews, this is so sassy of me, but when you look at reviews on Google, you can like click on the person who gave the review and see all of the reviews they've given. And so I really love to get into like the head of certain people, because I'll read a review and I'm like, yep, this place sucks. I'm never eating here. And my husband's like, but their food looks so good. And I'm like, no, it's bad. But if I click on that person's profile and I read all the reviews, I'm like, well, they just hate life in general. So it's probably not
You're
the
like,
food.
they're just miserable.
They're
that's
just
why.
haters and
Just
love
haters.
being the hater on the internet. Or if somebody puts a bad review on something and you look and they're overall a pretty positive person, you're like, okay, this validates this review. So read those reviews, interview that vendor. Oh my gosh, if you and your vendor do not click, do not hire them. You want to make sure that your vibes match. They have a very clear expectation for the day. Everybody's on the same page. They're enthusiastic. This is honestly a very cool job being in the wedding industry. If they are not happy in the wedding industry, please do not hire them.
True.
Yes. You're going to want to compare your packaging, the different packages, and then you always want to get those contracts like we've mentioned. So there are your vendor selection tips. Is there anything else that you have that you want to share on this point from your experience as a bride?
I don't know. I feel like everything we've said in this episode, really like hone in and listen to it because it's so true. And I think just making sure you have the vendors that you know are going to make your day the best is what, you know, I think is most important. And getting vendors that you want and doing it for you. I remember I wanted a videographer and my mom was like, I don't know why you're spending money on that. And, you know, I said, I totally hear you, but I know I'm going to want it. And then as soon as we got the video, she said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I ever said that you shouldn't have done that because it looks amazing. And now you have your whole wedding day captured. So I guess my biggest thing, if I could pick one vendor to for sure book on your wedding day, get a videographer. That is my 2 cents. And I think that's something that you'll have forever and cherish. So that's
I love it. Alrighty, queens. Well, that is your episode for today. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, and of course, YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you on next week's episode. Bye. Bye.